Hi, my name is Jennifer Swan, and today I will be discussing my essay proposal which critiques the representation of women in video games. The first female protagonist to ever be featured in a video game was Lara Croft in the 1996 release of Tomb Raider. Since then, many video games have improved their representation of women. However, underrepresentation, and most importantly in the context of this essay, misrepresentation, are still common in the majority of video games. In my essay, Video Games Are Still Failing Women, I will be critiquing the use of objectification and stereotypes within video games. I will expand this critique to include the foundation of the use of objectification and stereotypes through the complex social histories that preceded them. My first argument is that the representation of women in video games is still one commonly classified as objectification. In order to prove this point, I will be using Martha Nussbaum's objectification theory. Although published in 1995, this article is still considered a founding document in feminist theory. Nussbaum defines objectification as the treatment of a person as an object. In order to substantiate these claims of what is and what is not objectification, she outlines 7 notions of objectification. In connection to my essay, I will be outlining these 7 notions, such as instrumentality and violability, and connecting them to modern video games, such as Grand Theft Auto 5, Assassin's Creed, and Darkness 2. My second argument will refer to my claim that the representation of women in video games is one of stereotypes. Whereas objectification is the treatment of a person like an object, stereotypes refers to the roles in which a gender is cast. Xenia Condra, in her article, states that the damsel in distress stereotype is one of the most commonly held in video games, with equal appearance from sex workers. She also makes honorable mention that female characters in video games hardly ever appear over the age of 30. Examples of the damsel in distress stereotype can be found in Resident Evil 4, Deus Ex, and The Legend of Zelda: Skyward Sword. Critiques about the representation of women in video games have long existed, which leads to the next question. Why do video game developers and creators continue to rely on objectified and stereotyped representations of women within their games? There is a 2-part answer to this question, which I address in my 3rd paragraph. O'Brien and Schemen in Pop Culture's A User's Guide explain that negative representations usually involve power dynamics and are the result of complex social histories. Martin Douglas and his colleagues in their article explain that stereotypes are meant to help ease the cognitive burden of social information by providing easily learnable, simplified, and highly structured relationships. In her 2014 video series on the representation of women within video games, Anita Sarkeesian also explains that the objectification and stereotype of women are meant to be seen as natural and almost as undetectable to the players. The reason that these objectifications and stereotypes can go undetected is because of these complex social histories. These complex social histories continue to reinforce the idea that male dominance should always take precedent over female fragility. This is also applicable to the power dynamic. Therefore, as this negative representation of women continues in video games, males will always be viewed as the strong saviors who are capable of it all, as women continue to be seen as fragile, weak, and without agency. By 2016, video games should more accurately represent society and the status of women within it. Because video games over the last 20 years have become one of the most dominant forms of entertainment, I by no means see a lack of potential in its progression. With the implementation of a more diverse set of characters and representations of women, there is only many more creations, developments, and stories to come within these games.